Episode 50, Dane. Episode 50. We are here. The pinnacle. Half 100. Episode 50 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. My name is Deonte, joined by my best friend, my co-host, my ace, my guy, Dane Beasley. How are you doing this evening, my guy? You're not frozen, man. Come on.
Hey, look, I was standing still for a minute though. I almost had you fooled.
No, you didn't,
man. In light of episode 50, it's 25 cents times 2. I decided to let you do your intro and without interrupting you.
I appreciate that.
It wasn't for you. I did it for the fans and the listeners because it definitely wasn't for you. No, none's for you.
You doing all right though, man?
Doing pretty good, man. We got some rain up here.
Same.
We work in the penthouse suite uptown, so we were looking at how hard the rain was coming down in the parking lot. I was like, man, I really, 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 really hope that this is done by 4:30 when we get out, because I ain't trying to get. It's one thing to get in the car and be wet, but it's another thing when you have to get in the car and be wet for 40 minutes because the drive is so long. So
and then you're driving in the rain on the interstate in Dallas when like I was thinking about that the other day, like. It's like people forget how to drive when it's like conditions on the road. Like people act a fool.
Not only that, but the wife sent me an article today from WFAA, I believe, that the road rage incidents have increased tremendously here in the DFW. And I don't know. We're gonna see some study in a few years about the side effects of us being in isolation and COVID-19 and how that affected the aggression and the psyche of the adult male and female. So right. we'll hear about that in some sort of groundbreaking case study in like 5 years.
Right. And even in the summertime, just people are hot and when they can't deal with the weather. Like case in point, our friggin' AC's been out 5 days. It's working now. It's working now, but I could tell you firsthand when that AC go out, your whole mood changes. When it's like 85 degrees, when it's hotter in your house than it is outside, it's a problem.
The smallest stuff annoy you. Like, hey, babe, you want a sandwich? No, I don't want no sandwich.
For real, man. It's like I think yesterday we kind of Green and I not got into it, but it's like you start
button heads, yeah.
You just start like the heat just. It's like a mind game.
It festers.
Like I didn't even get to join y'all on the game. I don't even know if y'all play.
I didn't play. I was out of there.
Sit and what I'm saying, with all the electricity and heat that the console and the computer bring, like that's just a death sentence right there.
This is what you should have did. Low key, no cap. Pause. Just get butt naked, put on a tank top or a bra with a bunch of ice cubes in it, and you'd have been fine. So I've heard.
I saw a picture of I think somebody, I don't know who was specifically, it went viral on Twitter, but it was like a guy, he's like AC went out. And
in his car?
Yeah.
He had the ice.
He packed the ice. I was like, damn, I wonder how cool he feel. He probably feel hella cool.
Until all that ice melt, and then it's just bags of water everywhere.
But yeah, man, episode 50 of the duo, we are here. Dang, we made it to 50 episodes, guy. Like, could you, when we started this thing back in November of 2019, and I always like to say that because, a lot of these podcasts popped up, during the pandemic where everybody started getting their own podcast. I feel kind of good because we started.
We've been here.
Yeah.
We still standing. We still strong.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these little podcasts kind of fizzle out after a couple of episodes, but episode 50, man, we are here. What does that mean to you that, after November 2019, we still kept this thing going and now we're at 50?
It means that there were improvements to be made, and we were able to make some progress, not only with the way that we ran the show, but just the content, the people we had on the show, and most importantly, the people that supported the show. Obviously, we're still hearing a few good things here and there, which is why we're kind of still here talking into a microphone between the two of us, and then releasing it out to the public so they can listen to it. So the journey itself has been the most fun part. The journey itself, just from point A to point B.
Yeah. We got fans, man. Somewhat. We got people that actually listen to us.
Yeah, people like listening to our voices.
Yeah, but it's definitely been fun, man. And like we always say to each other, even off the mic, it's always a pleasure, my God. I couldn't imagine doing this with anyone else in the world. And it's been great. Episode 50, and we're gonna keep the train rolling. We got a lot of more stuff. We ain't gonna say it yet, but we got some good stuff coming up. our way and to the fans' way a couple of months maybe down the line. But episode 50 is great. And first things first, man. I'm repping Baylor kind of hard today. I got the Baylor shirt.
Hey.
I put the Baylor flag up in the background. Man, tell the people kind of, I heard you were kind of thinking about jumping on the Baylor train, man.
Well,
I heard some things,
well, let me clear the airwaves real
Okay.
quick. I am Ohio State's Buckeye fan. Okay, it was established in 2021 of what was that, September of this year, maybe October, I can't remember, but it's only been officially almost a year, pretty much.
And you announced it on the podcast. I remember.
Yeah, announced it on the podcast. I picked Ohio State. That I was going to rock with them for the remainder of my existence. So, my wife's little brother, he's been playing football since he was a kid. He's a little lanky. At the time, this tall, lanky little quarterback. Well, fast forward to today, he verbally committed to play for Baylor, and he's going to be playing wide receiver. He's transitioned from quarterback to wide receiver, and that was last year as a junior. It was his first year playing on varsity, and he pretty much lit it up. Got quite a few handful of D1 offers, and he knew which one, in his mind, he knew the right choice that he was going to make, or the choice that he was going to make.
He chose wisely.
And he chose the Waco Baylor Bears. So that's
sick 'em, man.
So shout out to Caleb Douglas, my wife's little brother. He's got an awesome head on his shoulders. He's very respectable young man. He's very, very talented. I'm not even going to speak about the football traits because that goes without saying. But he's a very, 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 very mature kid, and I'm hoping and praying for nothing but the best and success as he enters his senior year. But you're gonna hear about him, Caleb Douglas. He's the next big wide receiver, literally 6'4" wide receiver coming to Baylor. So we're excited. We are going to be a Baylor household. So I'm looking forward to it. It's not going to start until the 2022 season, though. 2022, we're going to wait until then to start the Baylor fandom. But until then, we still support. What is it? Is it gold and green? Is it
green
gold?
and gold, brother.
Green and gold. The other way around. My bad.
You hear that?
Green and gold.
You hear that? Oh.
Oh, since we're on the subject, that means I need to get some free merch from you, brother. I need to get a t-shirt. I need to get a hat. I need to get that flag in the background. I need a little figurine to put on my table. I need a mouse pad for my mouse when I go to work. I need a microphone cover that has Baylor Bears on that mug. And every single Baylor Bear fan, alumni that you're listening to this, hook your boy with some pride or some ideas that I can go shopping with so I can get some new Baylor equipment, even if it is just for, the 4 years that he's going to be there. So
we can make some arrangements.
Yeah.
But shout out to Caleb Douglas, and man, I saw that he jumped up to a 4-star on one of the recruiting websites. I can't remember which one, but they were saying that he'll probably be a 4-star on all.
Yeah, he'll keep going
after a while. So
look, that last year was only the beginning. He was very, very raw, but it's there and you can see it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that he had just started playing wide receiver that year if I was looking at it with fresh eyes. But shout out to Payday one time.
Shout out to Caleb Douglas, man. I had to start it off that way. But starting it off, Dane, the NBA playoffs, man, we're down to the final 4 teams. As we are recording this episode, game 5 between Phoenix and LA is tipping off. Phoenix is up 3-1 in the series. I'm gonna just shoot it to you plain, bro. I don't like the Clippers. One, obviously, because they eliminated my Dallas Mavericks in the first round. And the second reason is because I don't know, I just enjoy the Clippers slander that we get often. So Paul George in particular, I don't know if it's bad or not that I enjoy the Paul George slander and I'm on that train. I don't know, man. I don't know what makes me dislike him. I don't know. How do you feel about the Clippers in general?
I like a good villain. Okay. I love a good villain.
As a Lakers
fan, I love a good villain. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due, regardless of the rivalry that may exist between my team and the team that still remaining in the playoffs. But he has had he at one point Paul George was considered one of the best offensive or best two-way players in the league
Yeah.
for a while. And it just kind of just all went not downhill, but it kind of just his role was, it seemed like he went from this to this to this to this to this to this guy. And we've seen him collapse in very important games. And to this point, I would hope that there's a little bit more fight, a little bit more determination, a little bit more killer instinct left in him. I have no idea. I would just hate for his career, or to this point, for him to be defined by the collapses that he has, rather than the offensive talent that we know or two-way talent that we know that he's capable of. But I don't know. I probably should hold my tongue about the Clippers because of the obvious rival that I have. Because I am a Lakers fan, but the team is nothing without Kawhi, as we all know.
Yeah.
He is the engine that makes the car go. But obviously, in the perfect world, perhaps in an alternate timeline, we'd have that. But right now, the reality is he won't be there for the foreseeable future. So
He's probably a wrap for the. It's funny, like seeing him up, and there's rumblings of Kawhi, having button heads with the Clippers medical staff. Same thing when he was in San Antonio. So when I saw that he got hurt and I saw knee injury, it immediately took me back to his final days in San Antonio. And
that was ugly.
yeah,
that was ugly,
the
bro.
way that he is about, I feel like whatever the medical, looking at it from the outside in, what we know in San Antonio and what happened there, I'm like, he's not coming back. Like he is very particular about his body, like not rushing back, like if it's
right,
like whether it's the playoffs or not, because we saw that with the Spurs. And so going back to the Clippers in general and Paul George, I'm like, they're very, I give them their credit too, Dane, because they've been down 0-2 3 times now,
right,
and the first 2 times obviously they pulled through against the Mavericks and Jazz. They're just a team you love to hate, and I think that's the best way to put it. Obviously my hate is coming from being a fan of the Mavericks, but they still have like an opportunity to close this series or come back in this series, because on the other side you have a young Phoenix Suns team. I know you have Chris Paul there, and like you've seen Chris Paul in the 3-1 lead with the Rockets not finish the deal. And so they even interviewed Chris Paul at the end of game 4, and one of the questions was like, you've been up 3-1 before. What does this feel like to be in this? And he was like he cut the question off. He's like, I don't even want to talk about 3-1 because that past history.
And it's kind of hard. It's even kind of hard to talk about Chris Paul's effect on the team right now because how well they were playing when he was out.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's kind of just like, you don't want, as a veteran player that doesn't have a ring yet, you don't even want to think about that. But at the same time, if the reality is, put yourself in his shoes. Let's say the team does play much better without you, and there's the cohesiveness that is necessary to win in the playoffs. Let's say that it's possible for them to win without you having as many minutes. As a veteran player that knows that the game of basketball means so much to you, and then of course reaching that pinnacle, that championship, how do you move? Like how do you?
I think for a guy like Chris Paul, who's a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, and the fact that what he has done throughout the regular season, like people were saying Chris Paul was an MVP candidate. Like, I'm not sure if he got an MVP vote or not, but I think you still got to lean on what he's done so far in his career, what he's done this year, leading that team. Like, at the end of last year, they didn't have Chris Paul, but they went undefeated in the bubble. They didn't make it to the playoffs, but they were this close. They went 8-0 in the bubble. And what he's brought to them is, unmeasurable in the stat sheet as far as leadership,
veteran experience.
Exactly. And, he's
not in the playoffs, obviously, but
he's coming back from COVID. So from what we've seen, the effect of COVID on athletes, I give him a few games to, adjust. He's only been back 2 games. As we're recording, it'll be his 3rd game back. So I do expect for him to have a big game tonight. I don't know if they'll win it or not. I won't predict the game or predict it, but I will say he'll have a big game tonight, because I think he'll feel on that cusp of finally getting to the finals matchup or the NBA finals.
Mm-hmm.
They're at home in Phoenix where they play extremely well. I think they had one of the best home records, if not second with Utah in the NBA. So I think he'll have a good game tonight, but I think those first two games, I'll attribute that to bouncing back from the COVID protocols and such. So I think going back to your question, I think, you got to stick with him, man. He's proven it so far that, who he is throughout his career.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Then
very interesting.
The Eastern Conference, we have, what was that? Game 3 last night between Milwaukee and Atlanta.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just taking notes.
You trying to receipt me for next episode. I feel you.
No.
Yeah. Game 4 is tomorrow between Milwaukee and Atlanta. Last night, Milwaukee defeated Atlanta, and Chris Middleton went off in the fourth quarter. I believe he had 20 in the fourth quarter. Giannis had like 33 points.
Quiet 33.
Yeah, bro. I saw a stat line.
About him being the only player to have a particular stat line with on the particular, what is it, 70% or higher shooting, on 70% higher shooting, something like that.
I know.
It was super high. I was like, damn, he's the only player that's done that.
His last 8 games, he scored like 30 plus, like each time. He's like, regardless of what his free throw percentage. Of course, he still needs to work on his free throws and his HB dive down the lane.
His handsy. Oh, I found it for you. Players in the NBA to average at least 29, 13, and 5 on 50% shooting during the playoff run. The only person, Giannis. That's it.
Wouldn't think that. That's
I don't know what I was thinking. 70%. That's way too high. My bad.
On social media, like every athlete, star athlete to bench player is gonna get slandered if they have a bad game. But Giannis and Chris Middleton, obviously, but I like the Bucks team, and I think obviously with the Trae Young injury, we don't know how bad it's gonna be if
he still dropped a smooth 32, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to him in a second. He is insane, but I think it might be time to give Giannis his flowers as well, because he's
still so young.
He's still young.
The scary thing is he still can get much better, and we've seen him progress. He had a giant leap within the last 3 years, maybe 4 years, but we've seen him progress. So let that man get that jumper down. Let him get some more post moves down. Let him get a midi down, and it's gonna be over. It's gonna be curtains for somebody. So
man, and he doesn't, like, if he can get, like you said, a post game and a shot.
Because you know what he's gonna do. He's gonna try to drive. If it fails, he's gonna back up past the 3-point line. He's gonna try to get that little dribble, and then he's gonna go in bulldozing, and they can't. Nobody can stop. Nobody's found a consistent way to stop him. They can slow him down, but
right. Like, and if you're that athletic and you can get to the cup every time, like, why not do it? You know what I'm saying? If it's not broke.
Facts.
Of course, Chris Middleton in the fourth, when you need a big shot, he hit like 7 or 8 straight shots at the end of the fourth quarter last night. Just incredible. But on the other side, Atlanta Hawks, bro.
Crazy. They got a youthful squad.
Like the first team without an all-star to make it to the conference finals, which is an achievement.
Makes you question the all-star voting, though, right?
Well, we already know
yeah.
I feel like any kind of voting system where there's MVP, all-stars, like, you're always going to have question marks about it. Always going to be some type of controversy. But going back to Trae Young, man, he has been must-see TV. Like, you always, you feel like every
villain. He is the villain.
That too.
He's the villain that we need.
And you
not
always
the hero we deserve.
Every time he puts the shot up, like, it's going in. Like, you're like automatically thinking it's
about 30% of the time from 3.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about that later, but about 30% of the time, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah. But like, he puts that, that fear into he can hit a shot from damn near half court. But I feel like even if he's not 100%, I think he'll give it a go, because just his presence on the court, like, the defense is gonna have to account for it.
His offensive awareness and his IQ.
Exactly, creating opportunities for his teammates and stuff like that. But right now, I would kind of, if I were to see, I mean, both teams are up right now, but I'm thinking Milwaukee and Phoenix will probably finish it off.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that happens.
How do you feel about these new squads, new bloods in the conference finals? How do you feel about that?
I was a little curious as to how that was going to go with ratings because of how driven the league is about money. And if you don't have enough people watching a game, the sport, especially in the championship stretch, if you don't have enough people watching, you don't have anything to drive endorsements, commercials, and things like that. There's no type of incentive for the NBA to continue to have matchups like this. And we know that there is, was it inorganic? Is it inorganic? Yeah, we know inorganic ways that officiating can affect games and cause some teams to go on hot streaks and some teams not to go on hot streaks.
Hurt your player like Trae Young.
Exactly. And so the one thing,
purpose, but that's just crazy.
Yeah, one thing that I was wary of was like, man, I really hope it's a crowd draw, because with this being new blood, we can't afford for, not saying money wise, I'm talking about like we can't afford for teams to be discouraged from success because of the fact that they have too many powers against them. By way of ensuring that there's games that provide a lot of people watching them. So this is going to be cool to see. Yeah. We're definitely in the time of who is our next guy, who is the next face of the league. And as we have, for a number of years, we went with seeing. Can you hear that?
It's okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Okay. Let me just scratch that. For years to come, we're gonna have some nice matchups. But the one thing I appreciate the most from this whole entire playoff scene, is Trae Young being a villain, him embracing it, him the bout that he had in Madison Square Garden, and just him accepting, him feel like that. That's what we need. We desperately need it because the NBA hasn't seen something like that in a long time. So I'm hopeful about the youth in the NBA.
Yeah, I agree, man. And especially with eventually, LeBron's gonna retire, and guys that we grew up watching, the Kevin Durant's, the Chris Paul's, those guys are handing off the baton to this next young core, which obviously is Trae right now, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Luka. All those guys are, like you said, the league's in good hands. And to go back to the ratings thing that you said, I think obviously, like for me, I don't care about the ratings. I don't think the average fan does, but you always have those guys or those people that are against the NBA for everything they've done with the social movement, Black Lives Matter kind of thing, that I'll always go back to, okay, I'm not going to watch basketball anymore, NBA anymore, because of that stance that they took. And then to see, or, it's going to hurt their ratings kind of thing. That's what, conspiracy people think. And that tweet that you had tweeted in the group chat.
And it actually was one of the highest rated games that they came on. And that was great. That was like one of those, I'm glad I was wrong about this type of deal.
Right. And I
didn't want to be right, but I was scared to be right about it.
What I think it is, bro, is, and this is my little theory. Like, a lot of the times, like, for example, I always talk to my mom about sports every now and then, and she's like, I always want the underdog to win. I want to see somebody new. And when we just mentioned about the 4 teams that, haven't won a title, it's like when you see new teams that have a chance, like, you're not always seeing the Lakers, you're not always seeing the Spurs, you know what I'm saying? You bring in that viewer that, doesn't occasionally watch the NBA. You bring it in.
So wait a minute now.
Right.
This team that is usually always in the, is always in the finals and isn't playing? Let me sit down and watch this real quick.
Exactly.
Bam. Fan right there.
Right. And so I think that, that NBA is bringing in new teams, like small market teams, the Milwaukee's, the Phoenix, that can, attract new audience. I think this is great for the NBA because you're bringing in an audience that, wouldn't rather, would love to see a new team, if that makes sense. But
fresh new blood.
Yeah, NBA playoffs right now. Phoenix is or the Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix.
The Phoenix Suns.
Phoenix and LA are playing right now. I'll check the score on that real quick.
Not LA, the Clippers.
Excuse me. LA Clippers, they haven't even tipped off yet.
No, not LA, just the Clippers.
Just the Clippers, Dane says. Just the Clippers. The NCAA and NIL, I feel like every week there's something to talk about with the NIL, Dane. And according to Nicole Auerbach of The Athletic, the board of directors will meet on Wednesday and is expected to approve the interim NIL policy. And they have some bullet points that I'll go over to talk about the framework of the interim policy of the NIL, name, image, and likeness for those that don't know. Okay. So this is from the NCAA. It says college athletes can engage in NIL activities that are consistent with the law of the state where their school is located. Colleges and universities are responsible for determining whether those activities are consistent with the state law. Student athletes who attend a school in a state without an NIL law can engage in this type of activity without violating NCAA rules related to name, image, and likeness. College athletes can use a professional services provider for the NIL activity. So that means they can find someone to help them engage in these activities. Student athletes should report NIL activities consistent with state law or school and conference requirements to their school. With the NIL intern policy, schools and conferences may choose to adopt their own policies. That was a handful, but once again, NCAA, due to that Supreme Court ruling from a few weeks ago where the Supreme Court basically told NCAA what you have in place right now for these athletes is unjust, is not fair. So they're finally it's like on the ledge and they're like,
you know what? I think you guys have a point. Maybe you're right about this whole thing. Because they're looking over the edge.
Right. So it seems like like we said, they're tippy-toeing to the part where they have to make it. It's here.
Inevitable.
July 1st. It's here.
I am inevitable.
And we've talked about it a ton.
Right.
Where do we get to the point where, will we ever get to the point where we will give the NCAA its just due, its props for finally doing it? Are we still on?
Nah, we gotta wait. I gotta see some actionable steps. I gotta see it. You gonna have to show me, bruh. All this letter of the law, this is how it's intended to go. I need to see it. So maybe we'll see some by this time next year, maybe the year after that, but I need to see it. You gotta prove it to me because the track record doesn't look good.
Right. One thing, for like, we talked about Mark Emmert, the president. He just signed an extension. So I feel like there's no chance soon where he'll be out of there, but there's got to be some way to get some kind of fresh blood into the higher ups. Like, those guys are old and set in their ways. Like, it's still like, for instance, there's no talk about the name, image, and likeness for commercial brands, or like what we like to talk about, video games. It's like they're still holding back to certain guardrails, and like, if the Supreme Court says, hey, you're not doing this right, they're taking the baby steps just to get over the hump. Oh, one of the other things about the interim policy that the NCAA had laid down, this is from sportico.com. It says, a system where schools decide their own name, image, and likeness rules could prove welcome news for athletes and the various companies that seek to do business with them, so long as the compensation isn't performance-based. The NCAA, per new details revealed in this interim NIL policy, has decided to largely defer decisions on compensation for college athletes to states with their own laws, like I just read. The policy draws on more cautious language than is generally found with NCAA rules. For instance, athletes at schools should report their NIL activities. Oh, man, hold on. What was the part that I was looking for? Okay, here we go. As alluded above, the policy also forbids NIL compensation tied to specific athlete performance or achievements, such as financial incentives based on points scored. While the policy acknowledges that athletes' performance may enhance an athlete's NIL value, such performance can't be used as consideration, like bargain for exchange for athlete NIL competition. So you can't. It's like,
Yeah, you get $50 every touchdown you score.
Exactly.
Which is strange, but.
And then they don't mention, like I said, the group licensing, which I feel like eventually there will be. I don't know how that'll work as far as, because you have some schools that backed out of wanting to be in the NCAA video game, but there's got to be some kind of group that finally steps forward for the athletes to get them paid for their name to be in the video game. This article mentions that a group could come forward and try to bring the players together to do that. What do you think?
I think we should let's just cut to the chase. Quit playing all these games about this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, because maybe you should pay attention to what your state does. Somebody needs to just lay it out on the table, just like this. Blam. Give them a cut of the TV money. All these different networks y'all got, give them a cut of that. Now,
happening.
Now that no, whenever all this stuff passes and we're all free, the players are free to make money based off their own likeliness. That's the question that needs to be asked. And not so much because of the question, but because of the response. We need to see what the response will be. Will the response be immediate shutdown? If so, why?
Shutdown? You mean shutdown of the NCAA?
No, not shutdown as in like this is just a figure of speech.
Okay.
Will they be shut down directly? Will the players or whoever the spokesperson or like the representative will they be will that question be shut down? Yeah. How about you give the athletes a cut of the TV money? Right. That response to that question, that's going to tell me everything I need to know.
Right.
Because that's guaranteed money.
Right. And I think what like everything is obviously so new at this time, but I think something that's going to eventually have to be resolved or eventually have to be fixed, or it's going to be a lot of gray area, is because you have these states that have different NIL laws, different NIL policies. And you have the NCAA that has their own policy. Like it should be uniform. It should be the same everywhere. And like that's where the NCAA
it should be federal.
And there we go.
Federal.
Yeah. And from what I've been
reading, the highest court of the land,
seems like that it won't be at any time soon. And that's why you see these states coming out and making
here, take a little chump change. Here, go ahead. Fine. Your begging ass here.
I think that's gonna come to some kind of head where like you have these different, like there's no sense of togetherness. There's no sense of where everything is the same. And so you're gonna have discrepancies over here, discrepancies in this state, discrepancies with the NCAA. And like I think that goes back to what we had mentioned before, how the NCAA is like dropped the ball tremendously. We've set it up a bunch of times, but I think this is another example of that. So we'll definitely keep our eyes and ears to the ground and update this as the story unfolds, and possibly try to bring another guest on to talk about that, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we don't even know that we could ask questions about as far as the NIL goes. So stay tuned. Hey, we do have NFL news that I think we both are kind of excited for, but I also have a question about too. But the NFL approves alternate helmets beginning in 2022. This is coming from NFL.com. Fans, Dane and I, who have been begging for the NFL to bring back alternate helmets, need only one more year of waiting. The NFL sent a memo to clubs Thursday announcing that it will allow teams to wear two different helmets beginning in the 2022 season, per NFL Network's Tom Pelissero. Pro Football Talk first reported the news. The NFL previously permitted teams only one set of helmets for safety reasons. The thought processes followed that it was safer for a player to be fitted with one helmet properly than be shifting in and out of different headgear that it couldn't be certain was as safe. In 2018, the NFL expanded the uniform policy to allow for more jersey options per club, but kept the one helmet rule in place, which restricted some club options. The new rules loosens those restrictions, providing teams more freedoms. Clubs must obtain an entire new set of alternate color helmets for all players. Alternate color helmets must be the same make, model, and size as the applicable player's primary helmet. Why do we have to wait a whole year for that? That was my question. I'm happy that it's happening. I feel like it should have been done a while. And
Build up anticipation.
why only 2 helmets? Am I missing something? I feel like that, like, you can get the
It's a
same
start.
helmet.
It's a start.
I guess so.
So here's the thing. It's always going to start with the lower number. Just like how we moved from a 16-game season to a 17-game season. Eventually, we're going to go to an 18-game season. Yes? Maybe. We'll see. My theory is it's going to be an 18-game season. Same thing with these helmets. It's going to start off at 2. We were previously at 1. And then before that, we were at multiple. Maybe, I think it was, some teams had as many as 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken. But due to the lack thereof, the research and data available from concussions and what effect it had on it between switching from helmets from week to week, that was shut down. I understand that. But we know there are a number of players in the league. If they feel like they're good, they feel like they look good, they're going to play good. This has everything to do with it, with the exception of those hideous uniforms that Green Bay has. Keep them. We don't want
which ones?
It's like you gonna Google it. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Them hideous Green Bay uniforms.
Up with the Philly ones, the blue and yellow Philly ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, let me see. Let me see, bruh.
Alternate.
You gonna know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
The one,
Now,
the yellow.
yeah,
And,
the dirty must. Yeah, them they can keep them.
Yellow.
You know what? It's probably between them and the Steelers had some hideous ones, didn't they?
I know the Broncos got some UPS looking ones. I hate those.
Y'all had the clean, like the John Elway ones. Them mugs is clean.
The one with the horse coming out of the.
Bro.
Yeah, that one was clean.
Yeah, look at them Steelers alternate uniforms. It must look like prison uniforms, bro.
Oh yeah, they got the stripes for our audio listeners. The Steelers jersey, the ones with the black or the yellow one with the black stripes.
Yeah, man. So
I think
as long as we don't get punished and we don't have to see that again, I'm good. Don't bring that on my TV screen. I will not be watching. I will put my TV in black and white to watch it. What's up?
What when this rule comes into place, what jersey set are you most excited to see?
I believe it's either the Chargers, one of the Chargers uniforms they had back when LT was playing. They used to have beautiful. I love their alternate uniforms that they used to play with. And then of course, second, the Dallas Cowboys are typically our Thanksgiving Day jerseys. The most iconic, if you want to know what jerseys I'm talking about, the most iconic ones there with the white helmets and the white the white shoulder pads. Just look at a picture of T.O. when he was eating the popcorn, when he threw the popcorn in his face, like that. Those are the ones that I love those. I hate our current jerseys that we have, this little tuna, teal, turquoise, blue crap or whatever.
Tradition, like I always thought, like
I hate that crap. So ugly.
I think like the Cowboys should update.
They need to
the uniforms, but I don't see that happening
because they're not team cut. Like that doesn't match.
Yeah,
it doesn't match, and it's ugly. It's seafoam. That's the color. The seafoam pants. Them just is disgusting. And I know there's a very small pack of Cowboy fans that like them, but that is disgusting. Yeah, give us something that matches, man, because that ain't it.
Besides the Broncos helmet, old school logo with the horse coming out of the letter D,
those are clean
orange. I like
those are the cleanest ones.
The old school Philly Randall Cunningham jerseys. That
green, that green with the eagle with the football holding the football.
Right. Well, on the helmet, it's got. I mean, the logo.
Yeah, the logo is the
but the actual still has the wings. I got because Michael Vick. I'm looking at this picture of Michael Vick throwback in the Eagles, but I like.
Who else has some good throwbacks? I know I'm forgetting somebody. Somebody has some real good throwbacks. I like seeing it. It's not the Giants.
say the Chargers ones, the white ones. The Falcons got some nice throwbacks. The Bucks, the orange Bucks one.
Let's see. Who is it that I saw?
Them Colts ones are nasty. The Oilers.
What's it? Nah, I can't remember. It'll come to me later when I'm not thinking about this. I don't think. That's who it was.
Yeah. You don't like those Bucks orange creamsicle ones?
Orange creamsicle. Nah, I'm sticking with the ones from, because I recently was reminded how clean they were when I seen the Uncle Shannon Sharp's highlight video, because it was his birthday the other day, and they showed like pretty much all of his like best plays, when most of them came when he was with the Broncos. And I was like, man, them jerseys was clean. Like, and that reminded me of that during that era, the Elway era, y'all had some real fire jerseys. Right. Obviously, I wouldn't remember none of that when I was a kid, because I wouldn't have known what was cool and what wasn't cool. But looking back at it now, I would say that was clean, pretty clean. Mm-hmm. Top 5 for me. That's about
Throwback unis. And if you're listening to this episode or watching it on YouTube, man, let us know. Hit us up. Tell us what your favorite throwback jersey is for the NFL, or if not NBA, MLB, doesn't matter. Let us know.
Yeah, we love to interact with that, as long as you don't say the Seafoam Cowboy uniform. Them shits is disgusting. Seafoam.
Don't tell Dane that. Don't
tell me that. I'll block.
So Dane, COVID always, we've talked about in all of our episodes how it affected sports, and obviously one of the biggest things that it affected, it pushed the 2020 Olympics one entire year. So that means we get the Olympics in a few months, man. We had the Olympic trials the past few days. Honestly, I did not get to see all of the track and field action. I know you were up on it a lot. I did get to follow a couple of Baylor Bears that did qualify for Tokyo, man, but I'm a pass the baton, so to speak, to you to talk about what to expect in the Olympic Games from the U.S., man.
Man, first of all, we are very fortunate. I didn't know how they were going to handle it with the way the COVID-19 hit us last year, like a ton of bricks. Plenty of athletes missed out on the opportunity to show the world what they had. And anybody knows that there are some sports that the peak of your athleticism it can be considered very untimely. And when you have something like the Olympics that is only around every 4 years, there are the world championships, but of course, everyone is watching the Olympics. Everyone. And some of the best athletes in the world are seen typically every 4 years. Some athletes lost that opportunity to showcase that last year. And we were fortunate enough to get a lot of them by way of NBC, get to watch a lot of them televised during the trials. We have a lot of new blood. We have a lot of successful stories. We have a lot of comeback stories. But me personally, if I had to choose, I'm going to go with choosing maybe 3. I won't go more than 5. 100-meter dash, Sha'Carri Richardson. I say that because we got to see her years ago, because we are in Dallas, so we got the fortune of watching her tear it up here in Dallas a number of years.
She went to Dallas Carter, correct?
Yeah, she went to Carter. She did go to Carter, and
they bought it.
Yeah. So she was the real deal here. So she's number 1. If you don't know, like she said, if you don't know who she is, you're gonna find out real soon.
Google me.
Google her. So Sha'Carri Richardson, number 1 for me. Number 2 probably be Trayvon Bromell. Deonte, you might know a little bit about this guy. He's a Baylor. It's a Baylor Bear. Somewhat of a comeback for him. He's had some Olympic success, just by making it there. And then, of course, some bouts with injuries. But we got to see him. He looked like he is in the best shape of his life, effortlessly winning 100 after 100 after 100. So pay attention to him. Obviously, of course, and 4x1 as well. We'll see that. Hopefully. Simone Biles, number 3 for me. We that Olympic team, that women's gymnastics team from 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2016? Yeah, it was 2016. And I think that team in 2012 was pretty good too. But 2016, they were some beasts. She is phenomenal. It's hard to see. Like when you see how short she is, it's like, damn, she be getting up there. Like
Yeah.
I'd almost be willing to bet if somehow in some way, shape, or form, if she could like tape a basketball to her wrist, I think she could probably do a cartwheel, backflip, and then dunk that mug. I don't think she can dunk that mug straight off a vert. I don't think that's possible. But if there's some way possible that she can will herself to hold a basketball while flipping across the court, I think it's possible because of just how high she can get and the momentum and the power and the explosiveness that she has. So we'll get to see her. Floor routines are amazing. Some of the dopest things you'll see beyond the backflips and free running and stuff like that. There's plenty of events for you to watch in terms of gymnastics. For
Allison Felix.
Allison, oh man. So the Nike pretty much tried to do her dirty. So she came back and with a letter of her own with her own clothing or her own sporting line, and she qualified, I believe, for the 400. I know she qualified for the 400. I can't remember if there's any other events. She was doing so many of them, or she has done so many of them in the past. But this is her fifth Olympics that she's qualified for. So that's impressive in its own right. So just getting to see her again is going to be pretty cool. And then number 5, I also to probably come. Fifth guy, the kid that broke Usain Bolt's record for our fastest 200 under 20. Arian Knighton, I think. Did you see that guy?
I did happen to see that.
Pretty impressive,
man. That's pretty insane.
There was another kid from the IMG Academy that was in the 100. He was also in the 200 as well, but he was in the 100 and he made it to I think the semis, but he took a fall. He tripped over one of his legs and fell, but he had a really good time too. But yeah, some young people, they coming up, man. I don't know what's in the water, but hopefully it gets to my kid too, man.
Man. It's definitely going to be a sight to see. The trials are still going. Gymnastics part is still going on, right? I saw it on last night.
I think they are wrapped up with that one. I want to say there might be a few events left. No, softball, I think, is the only thing that's left. Everything else is done, if I'm not mistaken.
They announced the NBA Olympic team, which
I'm not excited about. I don't know why, but I'm not excited about that one, G.
Interesting, man, because you see some of these other teams, obviously Luka with Slovenia, but I mean that's just a Luka show.
Boy, them fools about to get washed. if you talking about Spain or something, I was like, okay, maybe.
No, I was gonna
Argentina.
I was just thinking about all the teams with a star player from the NBA on it. I looked at I think the Canada roster was announced. They look formidable. I think USA wins.
You're a formidable machine.
It won't be easy. Okay. I think they win it though.
Okay.
Yeah, but man, it's great to one thing I will say about the Olympics. I haven't followed the trials as much like you have, but I will say people feel some type of way, and I don't know why about track athletes like showing off, and I'm like, man, this is like their one opportunity out of
this is it.
Everybody is watching them,
and literally there's nothing they can do to take away from the attention from the team because they are literally every single event, with the exception of relays, it's about them winning.
Yes,
literally, there's nothing they can do to take away attention from everybody else.
They have the world championships that come on TV, but for the entire world, nobody's really paying attention to track and field unless you are in the sport or somebody in the sport or you're just a diehard track and field fan. Right. And so I feel like, man, if I was in that position, I'm about to show off. I'm about to show you why I'm.
Look, if I was fast, I'll do it.
Exactly. You hear a lot of people, even with, our boy Omar, people always felt a kind of way about, how he, his showmanship, so to speak. And I'm like, man,
when you good, you could do whatever the hell you want to track.
And man,
come on.
I'm trying to show why I'm one of the best in the world. You know what I'm saying? Right. Y'all don't see me grind, it's not a week-to-week schedule like it is in the other
Right.
sports. Like you see me once, maybe twice every 4 years. So I'm gonna show off like Sha'Carri Richardson showed off after she did what she did. I would be doing the same thing, man.
And
Like,
the thing about it is, and a lot of them will tell you, you were literally, there is nothing you were out there by yourself. There's nothing they can save. You can't rely on, unless you're in a relay, you're not relying on nobody else. You relying on that 364 other days of the year that you grinded and worked hard to get you through, to will you through with the time, or just or whatever it is, whatever the measurement of success is, that's what you're up against. And let them show out, man. Like, if you have something wrong with that, look, especially here moving forward in the Olympics, if you have something wrong with that, if you have an issue with that, it's un-American. I said it.
I do have a concern or a potential concern for the USA men's track team. Is Usain Bolt still running for Jamaica?
I don't think so. I think he's done. He actually just had twins not too long ago.
Oh, good for him. Well, that's good news for the US.
Not so much. But you still got to worry about, well, the women at least have to worry about Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price. So she's pretty much the equivalent on the women's side as far as the 100-meter dash. She ran like a 10.7 when she qualified for Jamaica. Yeah. Shout out to the motherland. So I mean, I think let me just double check. Let me make sure this dude ain't. I don't remember hearing anything.
I haven't heard from him.
I'd be ashamed. I'd be ashamed if he was doing something. Oh no, he's retired. He ain't doing that. I think he's focusing on soccer.
Okay. Well, we got the Olympics coming up. We'll keep updating as it gets closer to. I think when's the start? End of July?
When does it start? The opening ceremony. That's going to be televised. Opening ceremony.
I want to say it's the end of July.
Olympics 2021, July 23rd.
July 23rd. Opening ceremony Olympics, and we will.
It's gonna be a movie.
Talking about it for sure. Ready for it, Dane?
What's that?
What's that sound?
Loki, episode 3 of the duo. It's like Loki episode 3 on Disney Plus. What do you think about the episode, man? I felt like compared to the first two, this is my least favorite, but that doesn't mean I didn't like it. We got some great new tidbits about certain things that was going on in the show. But what you think about episode 3, man?
I like level 3. Episode 3, I liked it because it shed some light and some curiosity, as well as it got the hamster wheels spinning. For one thing in particular, what I liked about episode 3.
Right, the same thing I'm thinking about.
When Lady Loki, I know some of y'all don't like that name, but Lady Loki alluded to the fact that old girl that she had kidnapped, all of her thoughts and all of her previous memories were based on Earth. So that she let us know that one of the TVA officials or one of the TVA, what's their official name? One of the TVA workers, all of her previous life was spent on Earth.
Yeah.
And that was contrary to what Owen Wilson's character told us with Morbius, when Morbius told us that they were created by the timekeepers. And so this is all that they knew. So that kind of makes things interesting, because if what Lady Loki saying is correct, then they're being lied to. If they're being lied to, then all this means is those 3 timekeepers are not who we think they are.
Or even if they exist, somebody playing strings as timekeepers.
Exactly. Yeah. So these supreme cosmic beings are up to no good, or someone's that playing games with our minds.
Yeah, we agree on that. Yeah, we found out that everyone's a variant.
Yep.
Everyone is a variant. So we found out that information, and now we're thinking, like you said, Dane, okay, TVA is not who we thought they were.
They are who we thought they are.
We had mentioned that last episode when we're talking about recapping episodes 1 and 2. Loki had mentioned that there was a saying that he learned when he was little, similar kind of like this, saying like everything that's bad isn't always all bad. Everything that's good isn't all good.
Always.
So we get a little glimpse of that in this episode when she mentions that, everyone's a variant. And then at the end, it seems like, I don't know, like the episode ended so abruptly. It looks like they were, trapped in whatever.
Who's gonna save them, Deonte?
Right now, huh?
Who? How they gonna get saved? How's episode 4? Because we only got 3 episodes left.
3 left.
So how's this gonna? Are the TVA just gonna pop up with the little time doors? Like, hey, we got you. Help us.
I think that's what happens, and the reason why I think that is I you're gonna hate me. I saw a mid-season clip that Marvel came out with, and in that clip, you see Sylvie, aka Lady Loki, and Loki both being taken into custody by the TVA.
So you think?
That's what I think.
Marvel, the king and queens of misdirection.
Correct.
They can hit you with one of these.
Yeah, pump fake for sure. That's the only reason, because I can't see another scenario where they get out of there besides being caught. So
interesting. I don't know. Between that and the fact that Owen Wilson was just so obsessed, it might seem, or so I guess maybe enamored. Would enamored be a good word there? We'll see. So obsessed with the idea of jet skis. Yeah. My thought was maybe jet skis, something that he did a lot in his previous life.
Correct. Yeah.
But my also question I had was, everybody that works for the TVA, you mean every single last one of those dudes stepped outside of the timeline? Like every single one of them?
You gotta explain.
Every single one of them?
Yeah.
You have to make that make sense for me, Playboy.
I agree with you on that. Like mathematically, like every single, like we see how big the TVA is. We've seen, that city that they showed in episode 1, I believe. They're saying every single one, but I mean, we don't even know, like we talked about last episode, we don't know where and when the TVA is. We know it's outside of time and space. It might be in the quantum realm, which we don't really know. We haven't, besides Ant-Man, we don't really know much about the quantum realm. So if this is in the quantum realm, it's like no explanation is the explanation. Like it can't be explained.
They're gonna have to make sure that there's no plot holes.
Yeah.
Because all that's gonna do is piss off a lot of people, including myself. As much as I was looking forward to this particular project, there needs to be some sort of solid explanation or understanding, at least by episode 6, by the conclusion of it.
According to Tom Hiddleston, these final 3 episodes are the craziest, wackiest thing Marvel has ever done. So I'm expecting. I want to see some different different variants of the characters we know from the Marvel universe, like Thor, like an alternate Thor, an alternate Odin, alternate Iron Man. I don't know, but I feel like that's my prediction. Like I think we'll see a different version of a character we've already met in the MCU previously. I hope it's just bonkers, like how much they go into craziness of the multiverse, and we know this. Well, we've kind of seen the beginning of it, of what to expect in these next few projects that are coming out in the MCU as far as the multiverse is concerned. So episode 4 will be out on Wednesday. So of course, our next episode, we are going to break episode 4 down, everything that went on in the episode and things of that nature. Dane, staying in the MCU, my guy, did you happen to check out, I know you did because we talked about it, the Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings trailer? What'd you think about it?
I liked it. There are a lot of people that don't like it because of reasons, but I like it for the simple fact that this is new. This is a new culture that we get to explore throughout the MCU. I love a really good movie. I love a really good fighting movie. I love a really good fighting movie that has excellent hand-to-hand combat scenes. So that has potential. This movie has that potential to be one of the memorable MCU movies because of the hand-to-hand combat. Possibly one of my favorite MCU movies, top 3 on my list, is Winter Soldier because of the hand-to-hand combat and the sequences and the scenes and the level of detail and the fighting sequences. I loved it. We haven't had another movie that had that sort of range yet in the MCU. Not as consistent. Um, so we have the opportunity to see that here with this movie. That's what I'm looking forward to. Plus, I need to know why the hell the Abomination is where he was at. I need to know what that's about. What's going on here? So that's what I want to know.
Man,
but I like the trailer.
Yeah, I agree with you. Everything you said about the hand-to-hand combat, the action, the pacing, it seems like, it'll be one of those Marvel origin stories that we don't really know much about the character, but we'll grow to love. And that goes back to what you said about why is Abomination there, possibly fighting Wong. On a MCU audience perspective, I feel like this is a move by Kevin Feige and those guys to say, hey, our audience might not know much about Shang-Chi, unless they're a diehard comic fan, that knows a lot about the MCU comics. How can we attract an audience to this movie besides the hand-to-hand combat that we like? Let's put in a character that we have not seen since Incredible Hulk. Let's put in another character that, the fans love so much to get the mind going, to get...
I didn't realize that was Wong either.
Theories going, right? So Kevin Feige and those guys are like, how can we get more people hyped for this movie? Let's put in characters that they already know and familiar with. Let's throw in Abomination. Let's throw in Wong. That's just me thinking on the outside perspective. Now, as far as how Abomination got there in this tournament, as far as we know, the movie itself is supposed to be, it reminds me from what I've heard about like a Mortal Kombat fighting tournament, but they're fighting for the 10 rings that you see in the trailer. Now, I don't know why or how Abomination gets there, and I don't know the reasons why Wong might want the rings, probably for the Sanctum to keep them or something, to keep the planet safe. But I just think from a perspective of what the executives of Marvel and, their planning is to hype the movie, to get more people to go watch it, is, bring characters that we already know and, we haven't seen forever, and I just think that is what they were kind of thinking about going into the movie. But I'm hyped for it, man. Simu Lee seems like, I haven't watched any of his other movies or previous stuff, but he feels like a character that, or an actor that, knows how to fit this role, if that makes sense.
Actually, no, he's a good follow. I follow him on TikTok, and he says some pretty funny stuff from time to time. So I like his personality. So I'm hopeful about the movie because it again, it gives a lot of people opportunities that, statistically speaking, have been overlooked in Hollywood as well. So this should be fun. Curious, we more than likely we're going to get a third trailer during, what's the next big event before then? Maybe sometime during the Olympics.
Yeah, because it comes out September 3rd. So yeah, probably around that time.
Probably sometime during the Olympics would be, or do we have a football game? Hall of Fame game? No Hall of Fame game this year.
I don't know. maybe
during some sort of halftime during one particular NFL game that's going to be on leading up to that. But it's possibility. So third trailer, look out for the third trailer. Third trailer always, not always, but third trailer. You know what? No, I'm gonna take that back because that third, I'm still pissed off about that third Infinity War trailer where they misdirected us with the Hulk in there, had us thinking the homie was gonna be there the whole time. Hulk getting his ass beat to the movies. All right, is he about to do it again? Is the Hulk coming? No.
Kevin Feige said, "No, my friend."
Straight misdirection.
Not so fast.
That was a lot.
Not
a lot
so
of pumping.
Man. Episode 50 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast in the books, man. We appreciate y'all once again for tuning in, watching wherever you do, listening wherever you're listening to. You could have did anything in the world, but you decided to listen to Dane and myself talk about sports, talk about nerdy stuff, and just kick it with us for a few minutes. By a few minutes, I mean a couple minutes. Dane, what you about to say? Dane's frozen, or he's acting like he's frozen. But while he's frozen, I will tell you that you can listen to our episodes and any of our episodes on our website, www.theduosportsandstuffpodcast.com. as well as Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. And if you're on Apple, give us a 5-star rating and a great review so we can get more ears to the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. And I think on next episode, Dane, we got Black Widow coming up in July 9th. So we'll review that and our predictions about what we might expect for that movie. And man, anything else you want to say to our people? Say to our people? Dane has no words. He hates you.
Don't play. Y'all take care. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us for the other 49.5 episodes. Let's make it another 49 good ones, man. Yeah. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
This episode 50.
50.
FIDDY. 50.
Half 100. We on this. We gonna keep
that Curtis Jackson. You feel me?
Hey. Maybe I should play 50 Cent on the way out instead of our
like Mini Men. Mini Men.
We might get copyright.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Play the instrumental then.
The Duo.